All right. Welcome back. This is John Locke, and today I'm talking about this interesting Twitter thread that I saw. I bookmarked it because I wanted to come back to it. This is by SEO consultant. Welcome back. This is John Locke, and today I'm discussing an interesting Twitter thread. I had to bookmark it to come back to it because it was so interesting. This is by an SEO consultant named Owen. It's not spelled like Owen, but right here it says, please pronounce my name like Owen. Okay, but this very interesting thread that he talked about um, goes a little something like this. An e-commerce client that I've been working An e-commerce client that I've been working with had to remove all of their informative content pages, their blog, their how-to guides, etc. from their shop for reasons, probably internal. They decided to redirect the URLs of the removed pages to the homepage. And here's what happened to their SEO performance. They obviously lost all the organic search traffic to the removed pages. Their homepage and category pages also lost their best rankings and the organic search traffic and revenue. Before, their homepage and category pages had great rankings and generated very good revenue from SEO. So, for example, let's say that they sold sunglasses. Their homepage was consistently ranking on position 1 in organic search for buy sunglasses and on number 2 for sunglasses in their country, and most of their category pages had top 3 rankings for keywords like Oakley sunglasses, kids sunglasses, and running sunglasses. Pretty good, right? The informative content pages generated a lot of organic search traffic themselves, had high bounce rates, close to zero conversions, and they had contextual internal hyperlinks pointing to important landing pages across the shop and backlinks from other websites pointing to them. Very important. We'll come back to that in a minute. A few days after removing the informative content pages, most of the rankings and organic traffic and revenue of the shop are gone. It's not really surprising, but it's still interesting to see a case that confirms something that lots of SEOs are probably already convinced of. Informative content on an e-commerce site helps pages that generate sales to rank better. Blog articles and how-to guides often generate traffic that doesn't convert directly, so their value isn't always easy to show internally. It's difficult to prove that they help other pages rank. The above case seems to confirm the following. Informative content pages help category pages and the homepage of an e-commerce site rank better if the former contain contextual internal links pointing to the latter, the sales pages and the homepage, and if they attract incoming links from other domains. The real value of informative content pages doesn't always lie in the traffic that they generate themselves, but in the additional traffic and revenue that the shop's converting landing pages generate thanks to their existence. Any thoughts on this? So follow-up thread, would it have made a difference if the URLs of the removed pages gave back 404s instead of redirecting to the homepage? I don't think so. The redirects certainly didn't help, but they didn't cause more damage than 404s would have. Okay, well, let's go to this. Here's why. We all agree that redirects to unmatched targets are unlikely to pass on any relevance from external links to the redirected URLs. A 404 would have the same effect. External links to 404 pages are basically worthless, which is true. A 404 page is not really a page. It's just saying we can't find a page. So that's why, like, making sure that redirects are harnessed toward an actual page is so important. But Owen goes on to say, redirecting a URL leads to the content on that URL being de-indexed and the internal links pointing to other pages being lost. Again, changing the status code of a URL to 404 would have the same effect. What he's saying is, if you had a page that had links coming into it, that link equity, that link juice, that PageRank flows into that bucket. It flows into that container that is that page. And internal links that were on that page would have redistributed that link equity. When you delete the page, you get rid of all those internal links. And internal links still pass PageRank. They still pass link equity. They still pass link voting power. And when you get rid of them, it dissipates. Now, I know in WordPress there's like plugins that do things like they redirect all URLs, all 404s, I should say, all 404s to the home page. So what this thread is suggesting is that might not be a good idea, especially if you've already leveraged internal links. More on this in a minute. Okay, so Owen goes on to say, when a website suffers because of bulk redirects to unmatched targets, it's because the relevance of the content on the page's external links to these pages and internal links from these pages to others is lost. Bulk 404ing pages would lead to the same result. I don't know if like 100% I would say that it leads to the same result, but from what this is saying, it would certainly seem that way. So he says, if you believe that this case would have gone differently with 404s instead of redirects, it's probably because you believe that then there is some sort of penalty in addition to the described loss of relevance for bulk redirects to unmatched targets. I doubt that there is. I don't believe that there's a penalty for bulk redirects to unmatched targets. This theory is an interesting one. It certainly could be argued from this evidence here. But it's a whole bunch of pages that were lost. But let's go back here to the rest of this thread, because there is something that is going to be stated in this thread by other people. What Owen is saying is, and something that I believe too, something that I've counseled clients on before, is the authority of your website is not just about your sales pages. It's not just about the pages that you would want to have convert. Having this informational content gives your site authority. And And having that content on an e-commerce site makes it more than just an e-commerce site. Having that informational content like a blog, how-to guides, and especially when you're getting links from other sites, or if you're getting user signals that show that people are satisfied with what they're finding on those pages, it's a positive signal. It's a net positive for your entire site, I think is what he's saying. I also agree with this because I have noticed in other client sites, especially over the last year, that there is a correlation between sites that have informative content in certain categories that seem to rank higher than sites that don't have informative content, that sites that are just all about the sales or all about the conversions, and there's a lack of supplemental content, educational content, informational content. There does seem to be a correlation in certain categories, a very deep correlation. Now, is your particular thing, what you're trying to do you need to blog? Do you need to have resources and how-to guides? I think a good way to determine that would be to look at other sites that are currently ranking in your category that you're trying to beat. And if you notice that most of the sites that are ranking, that are e-commerce or other types of pages, other types of sites that are trying to sell stuff, if they seem to have that, then that might be a clue that your particular industry and category might benefit. Sites in that industry, sites in that category might benefit from that. Let's go on to the rest of this thread. So the value in informative content pages doesn't lie only in the traffic that they generate themselves, but in the additional traffic and revenue that the shop's converting landing pages generate thanks to their existence. I have a feeling that what happened is there is an internal debate about this, and this is something that was not in his agency's hands to decide. But just because something has a high bounce rate does not mean it's not valuable. So please dispel that thought from your head. Just because something does not have direct conversions or has a high bounce rate does not mean discard it at all. There are a lot of informational pages that do very well that have high bounce rates. And Google does not use bounce rate as a measure of quality of your site, nor does it use it as a ranking signal. Not only is this something that they've stated before, as far as bounce rate, several times, but it's something that I can tell you has no effect from personal experience, from looking at client sites. Bounce rate really does have no effect. But you know, who knows? Who knows what the actual decision was around this? Who knows? Okay, so I asked this person. I asked Owen, were they trying to force Google in any way to rank the e-commerce pages instead of the informational content for specific keywords with this action? And he said no. I don't know why exactly that they chose 301s to the homepage. They knew the traffic would be lost. Something that I strongly encourage people to do is, if you're getting traffic for a page on your site or a blog post or an article or something, but it doesn't directly lead to sales, it is a mistake to delete it. It's not something that I would encourage. Losing traffic for a page that might be educational or informational, even if it's not the traffic that you want, or even if it's not leading to conversions, Google probably still sees that as a sign of quality with your site. if you have several articles where people seem to ask follow-up questions, or they seem to be satisfied with that page, or people link to it, or there's other signs that that page is somehow answering people's questions, I have no doubt in my mind that Google sees that as a sign of quality. So I would be very careful with deleting pages like that off your site. Be very careful. Actually, there's a case that springs to mind very recently in my mind where this might account for some activity, a person that brought a case to my attention. That might have something to do with that. Okay, so this other person, Dan Sure, says, also, the other glaring issue here was redirecting the articles to the homepage. Those likely should have been 404, which is page not found, or 410, which is page is gone. I agree with the conclusion of content helping products, so I don't think this is the premise to test that under. Dan Barker said, have you managed to convince them to reverse the decision and try and do it in chunks, as in content pages of traffic value but without significant links first, and then those with links second, or the other way around? And he said, if I still had influence on their decisions, this would not have happened in the first place. The only good thing here is I have an interesting case to analyze. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Okay. Right. So it is an internal thing. Okay. Okay. I'm going to go to one last comment here, and this is from Rand Fishkin of Moz and SparkToro. And he says there's many lessons in this thread, but one standout for me. Google still values helpful informational content, and they still boost the rankings of other commerce-focused pages on sites that serve those informational intents well. Content marketers, take heed. I think there is something to be said for this, because the marketing funnel is all about getting people at the top of the funnel. It's usually like an informational thing where they enter a marketing funnel, and they might not buy until they're down the funnel like this. But having informational content at the top of the funnel is a way to make your brand more well-known. And giving up traffic of any type, even if it doesn't lead directly to conversions, is still a brand-building asset. And I would be very hesitant to ever delete a page that was drawing in traffic. And if that page is even tangentially related to what you're trying to sell, for the reasons that we've stated. So I just thought this was interesting. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. If anybody here has ever had experience with an e-commerce site